Hi everyone, First Word 5 Meteorologist Melissa Meeder here. It is 2:23 a.m. and I am coming to you all with a update for right now. We do have a severe thunderstorm watch, or I should say severe thunderstorm warning, that has just gotten issued for parts of the metro. So if we take a look here on kind of our large screen, that goes until about 3 a.m. for Buchanan, Clay, Clinton, Platte, parts of Jackson County, Wyandotte County included in this as well. And as you can see, we've got a system that's moving in from our northwest. That kind of leading edge, there's a kind of gust front on top of that. As you can see, there is a kind of green line that's moving through an outflow boundary. So that likely is seeing some gusty winds with that. This warning is for 60-mile-per-hour winds as well as about dime-sized hail. So that's what we're looking at. This continues until 3 a.m. So right now, we're probably starting to see a little bit of some gusty winds starting to pull into places along the kind of 435 loop. Let's take a closer look at what is happening here. And I'll take this big icon off so we can see it here. Here we go. Okay, so as you can see, we have the warning box that's highlighted in that yellow color. Right now it's hard to see because there is some ground clutter, but there's a lot of lightning on this leading edge. I'm going to pull up our Doppler winds so you can have a little bit of a closer look to see the gusts that we could be seeing as they're moving through your neighborhood. Likely seeing in Smithville towards Weatherby Lake over towards Hamilton, down towards Tonganoxie, eventually starting to see some gusty winds with this as it starts to push into your area. So let me get these Doppler winds pulled up so we can take a closer look at what approximately how fast those winds could be going as for right now. So as you can see, as it kind of pushes through, we've got a little bit of that red. Red is going away from the radar. Green is going towards the radar, but it could show us how quickly those winds are going. So let me take off the warning so it's not going to populate, and we can get a little bit of a closer look. So if you're just joining us now, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning that's issued for parts of the metro. Looks like wind gusts are around 29 miles an hour over there. So I don't think, let's see. And I know this is very early in the morning. It is 2:25 or 2:26 now if you are joining us. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning right now that does include the metro. Let's go back and show you that right now if you're just joining us, because I know it's early in the morning. You may be waking up to some lightning and thunder, also some gusty winds as well. So as you can see, a very large area right now is under that severe thunderstorm warning. This does include KCK, KCMO, from Linwood to Tonganoxie over to Bonner Springs, Leavenworth, Smithville, Lawson, Bramer, all the way up towards Stewartsville. So if we kind of take a larger look at this system, it's dropping down from Nebraska at this point. It's been losing a little bit of steam. However, as it is kind of decaying and as it continues to push into our area, we're still seeing some severe wind gusts. And I think generally starting to see it along that leading line, as you can see there highlighted in that kind of green color that's moving kind of out ahead of the front. That's likely going to be pretty gusty as well. Could see some gusts up to 55, 60 miles per hour with that wind gust. So behind that, you're going to start to see rain, thunder, lightning along with it. The hail size is only around a dime. So we haven't seen any, confirmed reports of wind or hail at this point. But really, as we go through the course of this morning, we're likely going to see wind be the primary threat this morning. So this goes until 3 a.m. So we've got about 33 minutes left on this warning. And it is going to be slowly pushing into the area. And let's see if I can pull up my National Weather Service chat so I can give you the latest. I'm reading right now. Okay. Looks like we are seeing some gusts with that outflow boundary to around 51 knots, which would be about 45 to 55 miles per hour. Likely going to see some limb shaking as well as, some wind that you can probably start to hear if it's moving into your area. So let's pull up the warning one more time so we could have a look at what's going on. So the warning is for most of the metro. This does include parts of Jackson, Clay, Wyandotte, points north, all the way up towards places like Clarksville. So we have this until 3 a.m. I'll put this auto query back on so you can see. So that goes until 3 a.m. This system, it's the leading edge right now. That is the part that's likely bringing this severe warning. So the strongest one's likely going to be on the leading edge of this, and then will continue to push down towards the south. Also, this kind of green line that we're seeing, that's generally just south of Cameron over towards the 435 loop and then over towards Lawrence. That's also bringing gusty winds too. So as we can see here, I've got this kind of pointer out. So this leading line also seeing some gusty winds with it, and then the leading edge of this storm as well, seeing some gusty kind of severe winds with that. So we've seen some gusts of around 50 to 55 miles per hour with this starting to be pulled in and reported from certain stations around the area. So there is strong winds with this storm, and let's get a little bit of a track on it so we could see when it is going to be moving into your area. So I'll turn off this auto query here, or the warning sign, and let's zoom out a bit, and then we will get a track on this. So it is moving south-southeast. Let's see how quickly. Around 35 miles per hour, so not moving that quickly at this point. And I'm going to do it from the outflow boundary because that is what is going to be coming first. Let's see. I'll have to do this one more time. So again, if you're just joining us, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect for the Kansas City metro. We are seeing a kind of line of rain and storms moving through right now at this point. This warning will go until 3 a.m. and this is going to be for 60 mile per hour winds as well as a dime-sized hail. So if we pull this out. Okay, so it looks like it's going to be moving into Liberty here in about 36 minutes. I'm doing this from the outflow boundary, so we're going to see the onset of winds likely happen then with the outflow boundary that's highlighted in that green color. So 2:36 a.m. moving into Liberty, around 2:40 going to be in the Kansas City metro area, the heart of downtown, between about 2:40, 2:43. By around 2:53 starting to push through Arrowhead, and then eventually moving towards Overland Park shortly thereafter around 3 a.m. This warning does go until 3 a.m., but shortly after we'll be moving into Blue Springs. So this is going to be the leading edge of the storm, likely going to see gusty winds with this kind of leading edge. And then behind it, you'll start to get rain, thunder, lightning, still gusty winds ahead of that front, but also we're starting to see those gusty winds with the kind of storm that is going to be moving through too. So once again, if you're just joining us, I know people might be waking up from the rain thunderstorm activity. So if you are just joining us now, it is 2:31 a.m. and we have a severe thunderstorm watch severe thunderstorm warning for Kansas City. I will put myself up on this little box so you could see who's talking to you too this morning. So as you can see, we have this yellow box. This is our severe thunderstorm warning. That is going to continue until 3 a.m. Not all of the counties are listed on that bottom part, as you could see, but this does include portions of Jackson, Clay, Wyandotte, Johnson County. So as this continues to push through, it's moving pretty, average around 35 miles an hour at this point. So this warning does continue till 3 a.m. It is going to be for 60 mile per hour winds as well as dime-sized hail. We have seen some reports at some stations of winds gusting to around 50 to around 59 miles per hour. We saw that in St. Joseph. So if I put this on a loop, we could see how it is moving, and you could see that kind of leading green edge that starts to pull out. So we're starting to see the gusty winds already with that leading edge, and then starting to follow with the rain and thunderstorm activity with still kind of damaging winds that could bring with it. So let's take a little bit of a zoom in so we can see where the kind of strongest winds are at this point. If I suspect they're generally going to be along the kind of leading edge as well as along that outflow boundary as well. And when I talk about that outflow boundary, I'm talking about this green. It's hard to see because there's a little bit of some ground scatter. So this leading kind of green edge that's along it, that's an outflow boundary. So that's ranging from Lawrence, starting to pull into the 435 loop close to I-70 over to towards Kearney. You could see gusty winds if you are living in these areas, and we could see the onset of gusty winds first before we start to see that rain and thunderstorm activity still on the leading edge, seeing the possibility for some strong damaging winds as well. So we have seen reports of gusts around 50 to 55, even 59 miles an hour. That 59 mile per hour wind gust was reported in St. Joseph. So storms have continued to sink towards the south over the last kind of 30 minutes or so as they've been pushing into our kind of neck of the woods when we talk about the metro. So let's take a look at some of your possible wind gusts that we are seeing out there. If I could pull up what is called our storm relative velocity. Okay. So what we see here is the wind. So the green is going toward the radar. The red is going away from the radar. That can indicate to us, you know, what direction the winds are going in and how strong they could be. So it looks like I've got to take off the warning on here. There we go. So it looks like we're starting to see those winds really pull in from over towards Excelsior Springs down to the 435 loop over towards places like Lawrence. So I'm likely going to see this at the airport, and we are seeing some velocities of 22 miles an hour. I want to see if there's any reports that we've got going on. When I talk about reports, I'm talking about wind too. So if it's moving through, if we saw the gust front move through the airport, we should be able to see if there has been any uptick in those wind speeds so we could get kind of a ground reading. Okay. And if you're just joining us right now, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for the metro in effect until 3 a.m. And that is going to be for damaging winds of around 60 miles per hour. So winds of 60 miles an hour, there is dime-sized hail, but we have seen some reports of this storm bringing anywhere to around 50 to about 59 miles per hour. Right now, I will take us back to the radar so we can have a closer look while I look for our rain and kind of thunderstorm icon, as well as those winds, so I could give you a little bit more of an update there. So here's a look at those storms moving through. If you see me using my phone, I have the National Weather Service chat on my phone, so it's a little bit easier for me to see. So we start to see these rain and storms pulling in from Nebraska. They were severe in Nebraska. There was a severe thunderstorm watch in Nebraska. It's sinking down towards the kind of southeast here this morning, and it is losing a little bit of steam as we talk about dropping from Nebraska to here. However, still producing gusty winds, especially on the outflow boundary, which is that green kind of leading edge of that storm that's moving in. And then we've got the leading edge of the actual storm with the rain and thunder and the lightning, as you could see there. So this continues till about 3 a.m. this morning and is continuing to move towards the southeast around 35 miles per hour. So we have seen some reports from weather stations from around 45 to about 55 miles an hour. There was a report in St. Joe of 59 miles per hour. So that's why we've got a warning on this storm for those gusty winds. So you're probably, if you're waking up right now, if you are anywhere in the Leavenworth towards Cameron, Oskaloosa area, you are probably hearing thunder and seeing lightning as well. And then if you are a little bit ahead of that, Excelsior Springs over towards portions of the northwest of the 435 loop. So we're talking about Platte City, over towards the airport, over towards Lawrence, seeing gusty winds at this point, but probably not hearing much of thunder and lightning because there is the leading edge. So the leading edge and the outflow boundary of the storm, picking up winds with it, seeing some gusty winds along with the leading edge of that severe thunderstorm that is going to be moving in. So we have this until 3 a.m., so it goes for about 22 more minutes, and this is going to continue to push towards the southeast. So right now I kind of want to show you how fast our winds are going. I assume that they are moving towards the airport or past the airport right now. So let's see. Here's our current wind speed, and I want to see if I could get our wind gusts so we can have a little bit more of an idea of how quickly the winds are gusting towards places like the airport. Just so we have a little bit more information. Okay, so it looks like it's gusting towards around 36 miles per hour in Cameron. This is going to be a little bit delayed. So mainly these update probably every 30 minutes or so, closer to an hour. So we could see gusty winds are happening 26, 36 miles an hour in Cameron. That's probably a little bit ago. And so these are starting to push into the metro. So here's a kind of wider look. I'm going to leave this for 1 second, and that way you can see this play in real time. And I'll be back in 1 moment. Okay, I am back. I took a little bit of a moment to talk to my producers and my executive producer. So everybody's just kind of getting in here this morning at this time. So once again, if you are just joining us, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect until 3 a.m. That's highlighted in that yellow outlined box. It's a little bit hard to see. There is some ground clutter on the ground, but this does include Buchanan, Clay, Clinton, Platte. This does include parts of Jackson, parts of Johnson County, Kansas, parts of Wyandotte County, parts of Clay County, as I mentioned. So this is moving into the metro. This is going to continue until 3 a.m. It's moving southeast around 35 miles per hour, and this is warned for 60 mile per hour winds and dime-sized hail. So I haven't seen any reports of dime-sized hail, but we have seen reports from personal weather stations of around 45 to 55 miles an hour. There was a report at the St. Joseph Airport that was 59 miles per hour. So as these storms have been moving in, they have continued to produce gusty winds, and therefore, if you're just waking up right now, because I know it's 2:41 in the morning, if you are just waking up right now and joining us and you live in places like Excelsior Springs, starting to live in the metro over towards Lawrence, you're probably not hearing any thunder, seeing maybe lightning in the distance at this point, but there probably is gusty winds with the leading edge of this system, which is an outflow boundary. So I've been talking a little bit about the outflow boundary here for the last couple of minutes. That's what we are seeing as this kind of leading edge of the green line right here from Lawrence, probably now to Kansas City over towards Excelsior Springs. This is producing gusty winds, but we're also seeing, of course, the thunderstorm produce gusty winds, lightning, as well as thunder. Haven't seen any reports of hail right now at this point, but they could produce dime-sized hail this morning. So we are monitoring this very closely. If you see me looking over down to my left, my phone is over here with the National Weather Service chat, giving you some updates there if we have any reports. So haven't seen any reports as of the last, couple minutes or so, about 15, 20 minutes. We haven't seen really any reports with this system. So let's put a little track on here, put a track on so we could see when this is going to be moving into your neck of the woods. I'm first going to track the outflow boundary, and then I will track the thunderstorm itself, because you're probably going to feel the onset of gusty winds first with that outflow boundary and then feel rain, thunderstorms, that sort of thing as these start to push into our area. So the gust front's going to come first, or the outflow boundary. And so I will need to turn off this watch warning so we have a little bit of a closer look. That way I could get a track on it without it being too overwhelming for the screen that you guys are on. So if we take a closer look, this is that outflow boundary that I'm talking about, from Gomer to Lawson to Liberty, stretching east towards Tonganoxie. So if we think about how quickly those winds could be going right now, as you could see, that's kind of highlighted right now in that red. These are our Doppler winds. This kind of gives us a look aloft of how fast the winds could be going and could be gusting. So if we take a closer look at this right now, looks like I'll still need to take off this warning because it's going to highlight it. There we go. Not seeing much here along this. But you will probably notice winds that are picking up with this as it continues to push through. So let me go back to regular radar, and then I could track what we could see the onset of the wind speed and then the onset of the rain and thunderstorm activity too. So we have a little bit of a closer look of when they could be in your area if they are not moving into your area at this point. And once again, if you're just joining us, it's 2:44 a.m. this morning. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for much of the metro. That will go until 3 a.m. So we've got about 15 more minutes on this. And we will, see it continue to push towards the southeast. But right now it is warned for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and dime-sized hail. We've seen some reports of 45 to even 59-mile-per-hour gusts from some personal weather stations. We have not seen any reports of hail at this time. So places over to Cameron, Smithville, Leavenworth, Oskaloosa, seeing rain and thunderstorm activity right now. Also probably seeing some gusty winds on the kind of front end of the storm. And then, as I mentioned, there is a kind of gust front that we are seeing, or an outflow boundary ahead of that. And that could also produce some gusty winds. So what I'm going to do is put a track on the kind of gust front, or the outflow boundary, this morning. It's hard to see because there's a lot of ground clutter out there, but it's generally moving through kind of the I-70 corridor from Excelsior Springs to Kansas City over towards Lawrence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a track on that, likely going to be moving around 35 miles an hour as well. And then we'll get a closer look of where it could be. So Kansas City, you're probably feeling some gusty winds right now, or at least a little pickup in the winds. It's going to be around Arrowhead in about 15 minutes or so. So at 2:57 in Arrowhead, Overland Park around 3 a.m.-ish, and then moving towards the southeast afterwards. So this warning does go until 3 a.m. I will be interested to see what the update is here from the National Weather Service. We should be getting one soon on this warning. So there's the track for the onset of some gusty winds, that potential for gusty winds. And now let's track out the thunderstorm activity. So when you could be seeing, hearing thunder and lightning, possibly seeing some gusty winds as well, some damaging winds up to around 60 miles per hour. So let's track out this leading edge of the storm so we could see when you could see the onset of storms in your area. Okay. So it looks like around 2:51 in Lansing. So going to be moving there here in a couple of minutes, probably seeing some rain and lightning, at least at this point, because you're kind of on the leading edge at this time. Liberty around 3:03 a.m., starting to push into places like the heart of Kansas City. That's around 3:15 to around 3:25. So it's moving around 35 miles an hour and will continue to push towards the southeast. So once again, if you are just joining us this morning, it's 2:47 a.m. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect until 3 a.m. for the heart of the Kansas City metro. So this does include Buchanan, Clay, Clinton, Platte County. This does not include on that kind of graphic, that yellow box does not include everything in it. We're also including Jackson County, parts of Johnson County, Kansas, Clay County, and we have Wyandotte County as well. So as you can see, I'm going to take a zoom out. This storm is moving down towards the southeast. This line of storms started off in Nebraska, did produce some severe storms in Nebraska. There was a severe thunderstorm watch. As it's moving here, it has been losing a little bit of steam, but we're still seeing gusty winds. So we have this warning for 60-mile-per-hour winds as well as dime-sized hail. So we have not seen any reports of hail right now, but we have seen some personal weather station reports of around 45 to even 55 miles an hour. But there was a gust to 59 miles an hour in St. Joseph about, I would say, 30 minutes ago to around 45 minutes ago. So closer to 2:15 this morning. Saw those reports of that gust. We have an outflow boundary that's flowing ahead of it. That's causing some gusty winds. And we are also seeing, of course, the leading edge of the thunderstorm, which is likely bringing gusty winds as well. So I talked about the outflow boundary. I will kind of show you. It's hard to see. We've got this kind of swooping, highlighted in green, gusty winds likely moving into Lawrence, Kansas City, Excelsior Springs right now. And then we've got, of course, the leading edge of the thunderstorm, the severe thunderstorm, which is kind of from Cameron moving into Excelsior Springs. It's in Leavenworth right now, Oskaloosa, and then points down towards the southwest. So this is going to be moving towards the southeast over the next kind of couple of hours or so. Likely going to continue to lose a little bit of steam as we continue to see it move towards the southeast this morning or over the course of the next couple of hours, because I know it's still nighttime for many people. It's 2:50 a.m. Looks like we've got a new report in from Leavenworth, gusts to around 40 miles an hour. And that was associated with the gust front, or we've been calling the gust front outflow boundary. So I want to take a closer look at that so I could show you where we could see those gusty winds at this point and get a closer look. I'm going to turn the watch, turn the warning off so I could click around and not get it too confusing here. And it looks like, okay, strong thunderstorms will impact Lynn County, Davies County, Grundy, Putnam, Mercer, Sullivan, Northeastern. So that's up for our northeastern counties towards, the back end of this. So still seeing some strong storms, or I should say a strong storm on the backside of this instead of the leading edge. I assume it will be for wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. So still keep in mind, gusty winds can kind of move your tree limbs, blow some objects over, like on your front porch and things like that. Okay, let's go back and have a closer look at this kind of gust front and who is seeing what right now at this point. So let me pull this up for you. I turned off our warning so I could click around if I need to. Okay, so Trenton over towards Gomer, Cameron, Holt, Edgerton, Leavenworth, seeing rain thunderstorm activity right now, likely some gusty winds in Tonganoxie. If we move down towards the south a little bit, Tonganoxie is on that kind of gust front, as they referred to it, or the outflow boundary. So we have seen some gusts up to around 40 miles an hour on the outflow boundary, which is hard to see because we've got some ground clutter, but this leading edge is what we're looking at, which is generally along I-70 and along I-35 right now at this point. Do notice that we are seeing some lightning ahead of the storm, and so you may see some lightning along the gust, ahead of the storm itself. So that gust front producing gusty winds. We've seen some reports of 40 miles an hour. We've seen reports of about 40 miles an hour in Tonganoxie, but 45 to even 60 mile per hour more towards the northwest when it was moving through our northwestern areas. So Bonner Springs over towards Kansas City, Liberty, Lawson, seeing that outflow boundary right now, likely seeing those winds pick up. That is ahead of what is going to be the thunderstorm associated with that thunderstorm from Gomer over towards Farrellview, Leavenworth, Oskaloosa right now. So that's what we're seeing in a closer kind of look. We're seeing a lot of lightning, probably hearing a lot of thunder associated with this as well. So if you are along that kind of gust front or the outflow boundary, mainly seeing some gusty winds. Your winds are picking up right now, not seeing really any rain. That's from places like Lawson, Liberty, over towards the heart of Kansas City, Bonner Springs, Lawrence. We did get a report from Tonganoxie of 40 miles per hour for a wind gust along that outflow boundary. And then you're seeing more of that rain thunderstorm activity, the kind of heart of the severe thunderstorm. That's over towards Cameron, Farrellview, Leavenworth, Oskaloosa as well. So probably hearing thunder, seeing some lightning, hearing some rain right now. If you are just waking up and joining us, it is 2:53 a.m. And we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of the metro, Buchanan, Clay, Clinton, Platte County. This continues until 3 a.m. This also includes places like Jackson County, Johnson County, Kansas, Wyandotte County, and then points up towards the northwest. So it does include much of the metro. As you can see, there is a leading edge of the storm that is associated with a severe thunderstorm warning, and what is kind of highlighted out in front of it, which is a gust, an outflow boundary, or as you can see highlighted in this kind of green color. It's a little bit harder to see. I'm highlighting it with this little pointer so we get a closer look, but we are seeing with that kind of warning a front of the rain and storms. And that severe thunderstorm warning is also an outflow boundary that's producing gusty winds ahead of it. And then we are starting to see some gusty winds with the storm, but this storm is warned for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts as well as dime-sized hail. Haven't seen any reports of hail. We have seen reports of gusts to around 40 miles an hour in Tonganoxie along the outflow boundary. And we have also seen gusts of around 50 to around 59 miles an hour. Looks like we're just getting a new update on our radar. 50 to around 59 miles an hour places towards the northwest, like in St. Joseph, we had a report to 59 miles an hour. And then we have seen some kind of local reports from local weather stations around 45 to 55 miles an hour. So there has been reports of gusty winds with this. So keep that in mind. Likely starting to hear the winds pick up if you're just waking up with us. And you're likely seeing some rain thunderstorm activity generally along Easton to Smithville to Cameron over towards Chillicothe. So if you live kind of along that line, it's starting to pull into the 435 loop right now for the actual rain and thunderstorm activity of it. Okay, looks like we've got some new information here from the National Weather Service, and that is that they will expire. They're going to expire the severe thunderstorm warning, so that will expire here in about 4 minutes at 3 a.m. And then it will become a special weather statement, which just means a strong thunderstorm. So we've got that strong thunderstorm could bring wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. So still gusty winds. And we are going to see it moving around 30 miles an hour. So we are going to continue to see it move towards the southeast. What this means is when this expires here in about 3 minutes or so at 3 a.m., we were possibly seeing it be at severe limits. And now we're seeing it slightly below the severe limits, but still could bring gusty winds. So those gusty winds can move objects around outside, that sort of thing. So therefore it will become a special weather statement here in about 3 minutes. So just one more time, I will do a track on this so we can have a closer look of when you could be getting these rain and thunderstorm activity and that kind of gusty winds moving into your area. Now that it's moving a little bit slower, it's moving around 30 miles an hour right now. Let's take a closer look here. I'll move in a little bit. Okay, so first I'm going to go along this outflow boundary at 30 miles an hour. So moving into Shawnee right now here at this point, Overland Park in about 6 minutes at 3:05, Arrowhead around 3:09, 3:18 for Buckner, 3:20 for Grandview, and this special weather statement will go, I'm trying to look, it should go about 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes into 3 a.m., so 30 minutes. So over the next 30 minutes, we could see it moving into Overland Park here in about 5 minutes, eventually towards Arrowhead in about 10, and then we will start to see it push towards Grandview around 3:20 a.m., and then Lee Summit just before 3:30. So it'll be moving slowly. This is not going to be for the rain and thunderstorm activity of it. This is going to be for the leading edge of some gusty winds. We then will see the rain and thunderstorm part of the severe thunderstorm warning. Give me 1 second here. Okay, I'm back. For one more time, I want to go through where we could see the kind of rain and thunderstorm activity start to push into your area, and that will still be behind the kind of gusty winds that you probably will start to hear, maybe feel, or kind of see your tree limbs moving around here. But this is still moving around 30 miles per hour now, so it is a little bit slower than it was initially. If we get it here around 30 miles an hour. So here in Kansas City in about 12 minutes or so to see the rain and thunderstorm part of this storm, and then moving to around 3:25 in Arrowhead. So we are going to see that kind of gusty wind first with that gust front or that outflow boundary, and then we will see the rain, the thunderstorm activity, the thunder, the lightning come second. So we will see the gusty winds first with no rain and thunderstorms, and then we will start to see the kind of leading edge of this kind of line that we've got going on that will eventually sink towards the southeast. So we do have that severe thunderstorm warning. New in right now is that it has expired. So if you're just joining us, we no longer have a severe thunderstorm warning for the metro, for the Kansas City area. This is a special weather statement. So what that means is we could see some gusty winds to 50 miles per hour. It is not severe, it is sub-severe at this time, and therefore we could still see some gusty winds here until about 3:30 if we push towards the southeastern part of the 435 loop. So with that being said, still expect to see a little bit of gusty winds, rain. You'll hear thunder, see some lightning with this, and we will continue to have a first warn in place this morning for some rain and thunderstorm activity as this continues as we go through the morning commute or the early morning commute through about 8 a.m. As you can see, this is going all the way up towards Nebraska. So once this kind of leading edge moves in, we will not be done with some rain and thunderstorm activity. We will still see light to moderate rainfall and some thunderstorm activity once you see the leading kind of front edge of this rain and thunderstorm activity move through. So keep that in mind. It is now 3:01 a.m. We will be on air at 4:30, so here in about an hour and a half. Of course, if something else happens, we see another severe warning, I will be sure to come in and, give you guys the information, everyone the information, both on streaming and online. So with that being said, I will let you all go back to sleep. The severe warning is done. However, keep in mind, you're probably still going to hear some gusty winds, see some lightning, hear some thunder, and hear some heavy rainfall.